You have to do the roll call?
Yes, sir. Committee Member Dan Finley.
Here.
Committee Member Lisa Ely.
Here.
Committee Member Deborah Sears.
Here.
Committee Member Jonathan O'Bear.
Here.
All right.
We have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll stand for that. In a moment of silence, to think about Memorial Day weekend coming up here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess do we have any agenda changes?
No, sir. I know.
So our first item is to elect officers, right?
Yes, sir.
How do we go about doing that?
So we can open the nomination for chairperson first. Is there anyone would like to nominate for chairperson?
Anybody else?
You can throw out any names, and we, of course, have to make sure that the person accepts the nomination. So, whoever would like to take the reins.
I'm in favor of term limits. So, if really somebody else would like to do it, I mean.
Yeah, the main role of the chairperson is just to run the meeting, make sure the meeting goes smoothly, making sure that they acknowledge other board members, opening public input, things of that nature, and then the vice chairperson is the delegate if the chairperson's not here. So it is a very relaxed, don't want to pressure you guys, don't want to make sure that you feel pressured.
Well, do it, but I would like somebody else to have the opportunity as well.
Oh, I'm good.
I think you did. Yes, you're doing a great job.
All right,
If you're okay with it.
I'll do it again.
Okay, you accept the nomination. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none. Does anybody oppose the nomination? All right, congratulations. All righty, so we just do the same thing for vice chairperson.
I nominate Deborah. I mean, I'm fine.
Do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay. Is there any other nominations? Any opposed?
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, that was simple.
Easy.
Fun times.
Beautiful. We can move on.
I don't know that we have any awards or presentations or informational agenda, do we?
No, sir.
Okay. Any public input? All right, then we don't see any, so we'll go down to consent agenda.
The December 4th meetings minutes were provided. Is there any issues with them? Would you guys have any?
Make a motion to approve as provided.
No, second.
So it is a motion by Mr. Finley, seconded by Ms. Healy. I will do a roll call. Give me 1 second. Chairperson Dan Finley.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Deborah Sears.
Yes.
Committee Member Lisa Healy.
Yes.
And Committee Member Jonathan O'Bear.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right.
We'll down to public hearing agenda.
Beautiful.
Seeing none. So a regular agenda. So I guess we're going to talk about this.
Correct. So you should have two set of financials. There was one in your agenda packet with our actuals for year-to-date 2025. Just very high level. Your utilities, you had a budget of $12,000. So far, you've spent $5,800, leaving a balance of $6,300. Grounds, the budget was $47,000. Between year-to-date expenses and encumbrances, that's leaving you a balance of $31,000 in that budget. Grounds, signs, and walls, you had a budget of $4,000. We haven't spent anything in there yet. And then under contract and admin, You'll see there's a budget there of 21,000 and encumbrances of 16,000. That is part of the rate study. At the last meeting, the board requested that we go ahead and add on to the TLBD rate study. So the amount that came back from NBS was around $16,000, which is around what we approximated for that cost. Was there any particular questions around any of the actuals that have come in on the first report?
Any questions?
No.
Okay. So on the second piece of paper that I gave you when you came in, that's this one here. So this is more for the discussion around the rate study. So what I did was I pulled together the historical actuals, the 25 budget, and what our proposed 26 budget is with the updated landscaping contract and the normal expenses that are through your fund to maintain your areas. And I wasn't sure if you guys had any specific wish list items that you would like to have added to the rate study for that. That's what we just actually went through with TLBD around updating some of their specific medians. I know your areas are not quite as large and you don't have quite the same type of landscaping, but just looking for some direction from the board if there was anything outside of what we're providing right now that you would like to have added to that rate study. As you can see, the fund balance has been holding pretty steady for the last several years. Here with the increase in the new landscaping contract and the increase in your utilities, I was told that we changed some meters a few years ago and the utilities actually started charging you the amount you were using. That has decreased the fund balance recently. So you'll see the estimated ending fund balance, which what I like to think of as a savings account, is $45,000. So this rate study is to basically set the new maximum. Right now, your maximum is set at 63 per EU, which stands for equivalent unit. And that's how the assessment district is generated. So this would to be able to set the cap for that new equivalent unit, which has not been increased in several years. I know TLBD was around 2007. I believe yours was around that same time period as well, that it hasn't been increased since then.
Was the jump in the grounds? Did we expect that much? $10,000? I know you.
So right
I know at the
here.
last meeting you spoke about adding us to a umbrella contract that you were doing.
I thought it was
I don't believe that's specifically just for the new contract. I believe that was also for some mulching and for some annual items that were in there. So the difference between the FY24 number and the FY25 is the 25 is a budget and the 24 was actuals.
Right, but what's driving that budget? That's what.
Let's look.
Because I thought we heard.
Well, this is-
I thought we
this is
heard that it was
actuals
actually
versus-
probably going to.
No, so
Yeah.
So the actual would be the difference from the 25 to the 26 with the new contract. So if you'll see there, it went
Oh.
from 47 to 48.
Okay.
Okay, but
I know. Hang on one tight. Let me pull it up.
No, because. Why did the administrative went, why is that 21,000?
yeah, I don't know what it.
They
I
need
don't know any of them.
a PowerPoint to tell me what all this.
The contract administrative that went from 52 and 24 to now 21, is that the 16?
Correct, for the
Okay.
rate study. Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, the one-time charge.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that? Is it too small? So
that
part
what
of
they're
it is
talking
the
about?
re-landscaping after Ivy.
Homeowners, I think, per EU.
There's some stuff that's folded into
But
that number.
we're only at 35.
Yeah, so that $47,000 number you're looking at is not just for the contract.
No.
I don't
It
know.
also has additional items in there for irrigation inspections, mulch, irrigation repairs, certain plant replacements. So if those plant replacements weren't necessary or the irrigation repairs weren't necessary, we wouldn't have actually spent that money. So you're looking, when you're comparing the FY23 actuals, that's the actual amount that was spent. The FY25 budget, that's going to have these additional items in there for irrigation repairs and things of that nature that are built into that. So that's not just the contract amount.
How much additional is that?
And those projected amounts are based upon, I mean, I'm just wondering why we think we'll spend $10,000 more for these extra things than we did last year. Than our actuals last year. Isn't that what this reads, that we're budgeting $10,000 more?
Correct, yes. So, as we've discussed, we're going to be re-landscaping these entrances.
Okay, that's
Which-
part of your earlier question when you asked if we had anything else. And so that's already built in.
Correct, some of
Pieces
these,
of it.
yes, we've built some of this in because you're, again, compared to TLBD, which is, a much larger scale, your fund balance is kind of holding pretty steady. You guys are surviving pretty well. So I didn't feel it would be necessary to build those re-landscape and the entrances into that type of, reassessment, if you will. I'm sorry. I get tongue-tied. So yes, that's why that's built in to there. Is we're going to be, like I said, Winter Springs Boulevard and Trotwood Boulevard are the first two, and they're going to be going in the next month actually, in June. We're going to start doing those. They're going to be redone,
Cool.
and then we'll do the following two. Hoping to have those done by August.
And what is being done exactly?
Re-landscaping the
Okay.
entrance, the entrance monuments where there's. So if you notice on Trotwood, you've got the big bougainvillea, and there's just a bunch of ratty stuff.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to be doing away with the annuals that we keep replacing,
Okay.
that we've discussed. We've
Yeah.
come up with some much better items to use, so we're not spending $3,000 a change out to put flowers in that last 3 months, 4 months.
Right.
So.
Was that the cost? I saw in December there was that 3,000
Yep.
for annuals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's going to cover the new, whatever you put in, or was that for this year's?
That's already been installed,
Okay.
yes.
And redoing those medians will be like you discussed in the previous meeting, we'll be cutting back on the root balls that are coming up, like on Trotwood.
On the medians,
Yeah,
correct, yes. Only where there is a median, yes, we'll be regrading, if you will. We'll be shaving the root flares back down and kind of bringing that whole thing back to where it doesn't look like a big
Right.
mound
Yeah.
when you drive in. Because it's very difficult to plant in it as it is, so we're going to have to bring a grinder in there and grind everything down, get it all back down to, to where we can at least plant in it, and put some topsoil in and then go at it with a blank slate.
Correct.
But yes, that does include that.
And our discussion with you guys is a little bit different because you haven't whittled your fund balance down to the very bottom like TLBD did. So we're actually trying to do a proactive approach with yours. That's why we talked about and doing it at the same time. We're trying to keep it steady, make sure that we're rotating the plants appropriately, and we're not getting down to the end of the wire to then have to do
No,
the
we don't wanna do
increase.
that.
No, no. Yeah.
I just have a couple of related kind of questions. So when you grind those roots down, I had a big oak tree in my backyard when they put the wall in.
Uh-huh.
They cut off all the roots when they put the foundation for the wall in. Hurricane Charlie, that tree fell towards my house where it didn't have any roots to hold it up. So what happens? I mean, are we weakening the root systems when we do that to
we're
make
going-
them more
we're going
susceptible to
down-
being blown down?
We're going down 6 inches max. any large roots 2 inches or bigger, we're going to leave where they're at if we can. We're not going to destabilize anything, any of the trees. Luckily, we don't have a lot of oak trees right there. Anyways, it's mostly palms, so those we're not going to affect stability at all with those. But the trees that are there, again, shaving roots versus cutting them. If we can get down, the surface, if we could just stay on the surface, we're going to be okay. We're not going to destabilize a tree, but putting in a footer is completely different than what we're going to be doing.
Foundation for the wall.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, we're not going to be doing anything near that scope.
Is there going to be any road closures or anything when you're doing this?
Yes, there will be.
Okay.
Yes, there will. And what we'll do is we'll send out notifications, email blast, that kind of thing that'll let you know, hey, we're going to be working here on this entrance starting this date kind of thing. We'll get with our PIO and he'll send something out to you guys.
Okay.
To the neighborhood anyways, or to the residents, and let them know that we'll be over there.
Okay.
2 other just crazy questions, I guess. When we get a settlement insurance proceeds, how is that number determined? Is it the actual cost of the repair, or is it the cost of repair plus administrative costs and everything else that are involved in making that happen?
Good evening, Brian Nedigan, Director of Administrative Services and Operations. So typically, those insurance proceeds would be related to, unfortunately, car accidents that we've seen along Tuscarora Road that impact the wall. We've been very fortunate that we haven't had one in a while. So I can't fully answer that question today. I could go back and look at the previous claim history and try to break down that claim. More than likely, there's probably not a lot of administrative costs built into those proceeds because, frankly, that type of work, as far as subrogation and different things like that, the staff time on our end is somewhat minimal. I mean, there is some work that has to be done, but we do have our insurance company also helps us out a lot of times with that, where their proceeds will come directly from them. They'll handle a lot of the subrogation on our behalf if it's a car accident, perhaps, and we'll go from there. So those costs are somewhat minimal in the grand scheme of things when you're looking at a $10,000 to $15,000 repair of a brick wall from a
No, actually, these are
automobile
small
accident.
amounts. I'm just
I think
wondering.
these are
Because
for
in my world,
plants.
we would add G&A charges to all that.
Correct.
So.
Yep.
And one other question, just because I'm curious. In the event of a hurricane, if there's damage to trees or the wall, how is that insurance handled? How is that done?
So trees are not insured assets anywhere in the city. So right-of-way trees, they're not insurable, obviously. So that's obviously if there's tree cleanup or work that has to be done, we have to fund that through our storm reserve. Now, those costs potentially, in a lot of cases, are reimbursable from FEMA, like post-disaster assistance, that we can get reimbursement for that type of work with like debris cleanup or tree work. In terms of a claim related to a catastrophic event like a hurricane, perhaps, for the wall. So we have a separate deductible. It's called a named storm deductible on our policy, and I believe it's 3% of the total asset value is our deductible, so it's considerably higher. If we do have to file a claim for damage to city property, that's an insured asset as a result of a named storm.
And is the wall considered city property or how does that work exactly?
Yes, it is. It is a city asset with, it has a depreciation schedule that we track, that our accounting team tracks. So it is a city asset, just like this building or any other, like a park pavilion or anything else like that, and it is insured. As part of our city asset, those insurance costs are covered through your assessment fees.
Yeah, it's part of that administrative overhead that you see in the line. That's 50% of that is insurance.
Done.
I have a question.
Sure.
Where does this budget come from?
The budget number, so it's a combination of Kevin Maddox putting together. It's also a combination of contracts that we already have. So your landscaping contract, which was bid out.
Okay, maybe I rephrase that. Like, So how do we pay for this?
It's on your ad valorem tax bill.
Okay, thank you. Light bulb moment. Okay, so new to all this, so thank you.
Yes.
And then the EU charge?
It's
So-
called an equivalent unit, so it depends on the size of your property. And it also depends on how close you are to the wall, how much the landscaping, when your assessment district was originally established, each parcel had an EU assigned to it. It's actually on all of the tax rolls. You can pull it up and look at it on your parcel itself. So some houses have more than one EU, some houses have less than one EU. In total, you have 967 EUs in your community. So multiply that times $63 comes out to the approximately $60,000 of revenue that's brought in. Correct.
Good. Curious.
Yes.
Thank you.
Getting back to your original question, which was about that
Yes.
$63.
Yes.
And what were you saying then, before
So-
we interrupted you?
No, so my question was, if there any additional projects that you guys were interested about, or any questions that you had, for Kevin or I to investigate, get quotes on. So what we would be looking for is, are you good with providing them this information that we have? What MBS is going to do is they're going to do an analysis projection of, CPI average increases over a several year period. To see what those would cost. We know we have contracts in place for landscaping, and Kevin has a laundry list of items that he typically budgets to cover irrigation repairs and things of that nature. So we would provide that information to MBS, and they would do a future projection to come up with the new cap, essentially. So just setting the cap doesn't mean we have to charge each homeowner that amount. That is basically setting the ceiling for what we can assess. And that would then be re-looked at every year during the budgeting process when we get, the updated contract numbers to determine what the actual amount is that we're charging. So previously, your cap is $63. In the past, you'll see there we charged $60 per EU. This year, I'm proposing charging the $63 because in the last 2 fiscal years, it looks that the fund balance is going to go down. With something such as, Brian spoke about if there were something to happen to the wall and it was, hurricane related, we want to make sure we have enough reserves in there to get that fixed. If it is, over the deductible amount, is it worth, we're going to have to weigh the benefit cost on that. Is it worth going after the insurance or just going ahead and getting it repaired? So we want to make sure that we have sufficient reserves and fund balance in there in case there is something that happens.
So the rate study is going to determine what that new EU cap will be,
Correct.
but it doesn't mean we have to charge
Correct.
to the seal. Okay.
Correct. So to increase the rate cap, there's a lot of legal things that have to happen.
Yeah.
This calculation will be done, and then there'll have to be a public hearing. It'll be noticed in the paper. Each of you will receive a letter in the mail that says that the city is proposing to increase the cap. It'll be a public hearing item that'll be brought in front of the commission. Typically, it's just a resolution with no public hearing item, with the information given to the commission, a simple vote. But this will be a public hearing item because we are proposing to increase the cap. So there's a lot of legal things that have to go through to do that. And then to just adjust the dollar amount going forward is just simply, we're discussing with you what we want to set the budget at, what the expectations are, and it's just doing the normal resolution. This is a little bit more involved to do this, which is why we don't like to do it too often.
So when is the timeline? Because I know in our last meeting, we were talking about the rate study, and now you're getting ready to submit.
Correct. So essentially, after this meeting, we'll give them direction, we'll give them the numbers, and we'll get a timeline from them on how long it's going to take to do that. The proposal would be to go ahead and bring it back in around the August timeframe for that public hearing to go ahead and get that cap set. I know with TLBD, they're asking to have a special meeting after the study comes back so that they're aware of what that new cap proposal is looking at in case they want to potentially adjust it. We could do that as well if that's the direction of the board. If not, just let me know, and we don't have to have a special meeting. We can send it electronically, however you wish. But the timeline right now that I'm estimating would be around the August meeting that public hearing item would go to the commission.
And after we go through that process and a new rate cap is set, then to actually adjust the the assessed value process there? Is this, I mean, we want to go from 60 to, say the new cap is 65, and we want to go from current 63, or soon to be 63 to 65. Who does that? How does that happen?
It just goes in front of the commission as a normal assessment
Okay.
roll. Yeah. So I would expect the cap to go higher than 65. We want it to be,
Right.
you know, probably like the 10-year time
I'd like
mark.
to see build back up the reserve, too.
Correct. So that would be the goal, is to get it up there. But I don't feel, with what we have right now, unless there's something that Kevin is aware of, I don't feel that I would increase the dollar amount for fiscal year 2026 over the $63. I think setting the cap, we can start adjusting that in the future years to smooth it out. But for right now, for needs, I don't think that we would need to adjust it over the $63 for fiscal year 26. 27 could be another story.
As far as the insurance coverage that was discussed and the 3% hurricane deductible, is that a unique policy for the wall, or is that an umbrella policy for the city?
It's the umbrella policy for the city. And just roughly on that, based on what I have, so your named storm deductible for the wall, it's valued at $750,000 by our insurance company. So you're looking at a $22,500 deductible for a claim related to a named hurricane. So obviously, God forbid, you know, a tree comes down, knocks out a section of the wall, and you've got a $10,000 repair. To Holly's point a few minutes ago, you know, you kind of have to weigh whether you're going to put a claim in. Obviously,
Right.
you know, your deductible being much higher than that for a named storm type of claim.
Wouldn't take many trees, though, to get down.
No.
And another question, I'm sorry I'm not done, is the wall. I can still see through the wall in the back of my house. Are we still doing repairs to the wall, or?
Yes, we are. I was told yours was completed, and that's my fault for not double checking that, but I was told yours specifically was completed.
I can watch cars drive by.
Yeah, you were. Yes, I will check on that and get back with you. I don't know why that wasn't completed.
So in August, when they come back with the rate study, are you going to kind of go through what was given to them as far as updates and all that? Okay.
So that's what I can do. So basically, what we'd be giving them is what you see right now in the FY26 proposed.
Okay.
As far as expenses are concerned. I'll, verify with Kevin on timing of fertilizer, mulch, things of that nature that are typically, operating type things to make sure that we give all of that data to MBS correctly. And then you guys, if you just want to let me know, would you like to have a special meeting to basically review that, or would you like me to just send it to you and you can review it at your leisure? That's kind of really the only direction I'd be looking for at this point before it goes in front of the commission. Obviously, as a body, you're the advisory committee and you're advising the commission that this is, as a community, this is what you would like to do.
I'm good either way.
You can email it.
Okay, email. Okay, no problem. And then if you guys see something and you say, hey, I'd really like to have a meeting, or if you have a specific question, feel free to reach out and, we can talk it through.
Is the landscaping contract, is it set now? Is this?
Yes, it's done. Originally we were at $1,020 a month. It did increase a little bit. It went up to $1,103 a month. So about $83 roughly is what it went up a month. So $960.
And is
year.
that set for with options, or is it 1 year? Is it 3 years?
3 year with 2 year options. Two
Oh.
1 year options.
Was that because we talked about joining with a bigger body? I don't exactly
We did
recall, but that
leverage,
was-
yes, we
okay.
leveraged. That's why we were able to go with such a small increase.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a citywide contract
Yeah,
now.
it's a citywide contract. It's a single contractor for the city.
Anything else? What do you need from us?
Just a consensus. I know Deborah here said she would like an email, or is everybody else okay with just emailing once the results of the rate study are back, or?
I'm fine with the email.
Okay, all right, so that'll be the direction. We'll reach out I'll send an email once the rate study is back. to let you know the results of that and what the expectations are in additional timeline. Okay? All right, I think I'm done with finances.
Well, we kind of, Kevin Maddox, our beautification manager, City of Winter Springs, kind of did, it was like intertwined there.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you have any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. I really don't have anything to expound on, but, just echoing Holly, if there's anything that you can think of that hasn't been mentioned as far as, wanting to include in this rate study, something really that you're sticking in your mind, just let us know and we'll put it in there. But as far as any big projects, like I said, we're working on the entrances right now. They're going to be starting to go here. Like I said, Winter Springs Boulevard and Trotwood are the first two, and then we're going to flop to the next two around August.
Now you're just doing landscape, but I noticed
Landscape
on,
and irrigation.
okay.
Yeah.
Is Duke going to be involved in any of that?
No,
No,
no.
because the lighting at the Forest Creek Drive entrance and the Chokecherry, what that entrance over there? The lighting is spotty in and out. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. So I'm like, maybe if you
It
start
could be a
digging through there-
transformer issue.
Yeah.
It might be a photocell too. So
Yeah.
if it does, but you have seen it on, and then
Yeah, when it's on, it's very faint. But I
Okay.
just worry if you're digging around over there, it might permanently
said at Forest Creek?
disable something. Yeah, Forest Creek Drive and
Okay.
the other entrance that's south of Winter Springs Boulevard.
okay.
The
So the last two entrances, basically.
Yeah.
Last two entrances south.
yes. Oak Forest Drive. That entrance.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll check that out.
Okay.
But yeah, we won't deal with Duke with anything. I mean, other than locates, of course.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Okay.
Anything else?
I do have one thing. So when you say irrigation,
Yes.
okay, so I love plants, okay, I'm a goober. But, like in those planter boxes, when you plant all those flowers and everything, and with obviously the drought that we're in and everything, is there something inside those boxes, or is that irrigation going to hit those planters at all, so everything just doesn't die?
There's irrigation up there
Is
currently.
there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and actually that's going to be being retrofitted. We're going to do drip up there so it doesn't spray the signs and create,
Okay.
because we're getting a film on them. It's
Yeah.
kind of a pain
Okay.
to keep, try to keep those things clean here lately. So we're
Gotcha.
we're going to be doing drip on that top tier.
Yeah, 'cause it gets so dry, and I always just noticed that flowers just die. And I
Yeah.
was like, are they ever on? Like,
Yeah, they are. But again, it's a very well drained planter box. By the way, I've run them twice a night sometimes, and come out in the morning and they're bone dry.
yeah. I just hate to see if you guys do redo those,
No, absolutely.
Everything
Yeah,
dry.
yeah. We're going to. That's why I wanted to include the irrigation in it, because I knew we were going to need to make modifications for the new plant material anyway. So, but I wanted to make sure that we're going to, any deficiencies like we have now,
right?
because what's up there now are the old pop-up sprays.
Right.
They're not very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I have.
Nothing for me.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. We good?
Okay.
We good?
Reports? Any other reports?
No?
No?
We good?
Public input again?
No?
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to cover? Other than that, I'd say we make a motion, we adjourn.
I hit that.
You were at 62.9.